Hey, what's up? It's the Figure Hunter, and today we're going to talk about the final review for the TicWatch GTH Pro. This is a $99 gadget that is projected or proposed to have some unique health features. So we're going to talk about the ins and outs of it, and boy, do I have a lot to share about this little device. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please consider subscribing for more. Lots of reviews still on the way. Now, this channel typically is reviewing and testing devices for the purpose of CrossFit tracking. But within the devices that serve more intense CrossFit regimen and the required wellness and sleep and recovery aspects that flow into training of any kind, we obviously will come across devices that are focused maybe more on the health benefits side than on just the training rigor side. So we're going to actually look at this from both angles. So the health and wellness, sleep, recovery, stress, as well as the workout aspects. So like I shared, we have a lot to talk about with regard to the quality of its value in all of those areas. So it's $99, so it's somewhat affordable. It's got a TFT screen, which means it's sort of like AMOLED, even though it's not an AMOLED screen. It's not as brilliant, not as vibrant and rich. It's 35 millimeters across by 12 millimeters thick at the thickest place. It's got a 1-inch screen, so a little bit smaller screen, and that's going across as a square. It's got 2 different heart rate sensors, one on the side for running a specific heart rate test or heart strength test, and then one on the back along with an SpO2 sensor on the tracker on the back, as well as a temperature sensor. And you can do functional things like get your sleep tracking, count your steps, obviously, track a basic workout, get simple information there, but it also does have, you can do spot checks for stress tracking on the device itself. And we're going to look at some of the ins and outs and pros and cons, and we're just going to talk about it as we go along and then work our way to the summary. So with that, let's dive in. First, we're going to look at the watch, then we're going to look at the app, and we're going to talk about, oh boy, some features there or some things there to talk about, and then we'll come back together. Okay, so here we have it. And all the basic functions after using it for a week seem to work okay. But it just, we'll just talk about the issues as we go across them. Sleep, I did sleep last night, did wear the device. It makes no sense. This is the first time that I've had a failed sort of data experience. Outdoor run, these things, they work okay. They did track some details, and we're gonna look at the accuracy of that in just a second. So go through the iterations. Again, it's a nicely summarized little bit of information. The heart rate summarized over a period of time. You can see it throughout the day. That's good. And then, simple, this doesn't go anywhere. There's no other information here. And then the other thing is, like, if you wanted to, so let's look at it just in simple terms. So these things, they're pretty well laid out. They're pretty visually pretty and, effective. It all looks nice, but as far as like current offerings on the market, there's no value here relative to a bajillion other devices. So this is all just the simple information you would get on any one of 100 devices, even within this price point. So what does it do that is of value? Well, a couple of the things that it does that's supposedly of value is that you have TicZen, which is measuring your stress. And when you measure your stress, you'll see what appears or hint doesn't appear in the app when we go through the app section. But what's crazy about this is if you were trying to figure out, I feel really stressed, read the little fine print. This process is expected to take 3 minutes, and it takes every bit of 3 minutes. You have to sit here, and I don't know, in our technology world, you may not think about, 3 minutes is that much. 3 minutes is like an eternity. Now add to it if you were stressed. If you were stressed in your work, and you're gonna have to sit here still for 3 minutes. Maybe it's like trying to force you into relaxation by having to sit still, and you could do your TicZen breathe, your Tic breathe, but that ain't working for me. That 3 minute long period, and as we'll see in the app, it's a spot check only on the watch and no value within the app. Doesn't transmit to the app, doesn't work that way, And maybe that's going to come in a later thing, but we have to go with the now. So stress tracking, in my opinion, is inexistent, doesn't exist on this watch, because just because it can take a check, it makes you wait 3 minutes, and it's a spot check that doesn't flow through to a trackable score of any kind anywhere else in the universe. It's like it doesn't exist. So therefore, this again doesn't add any value. So now we take Arty. We're going to hold our finger there. It's, you know, Arty is the heart metrics and heart measures for the quality of, you know, your heart cardiovascular strength in the arterial walls and your arterial strength whatsoever. You know, in general, it goes through this analysis and it gives you a score. So this is all really neat stuff, and there's information you could read about this, except we can't activate it on the app because it continues to fail to authorize, at least on an iPhone here in the United States. So it gives you these information, Arty age, 20 to 30, okay? So we go down to the bottom and we say next, and then it gives you your score in summary format. So these are sort of, you know, like could be helpful. You can see, you know, what the averages are, what the maximum, the minimums are, and then you go back into the bottom. Again, when you go back, it always shoves you into this thing where the measurement of exercise capacity, the average, you know, this is great, this week's score. So you can see some information here. So you can see your past readings here, what you recorded on the watch. So even if I can't get the app to function, I could see history there. And then, again, let's see if it took it. Nope, this is back to the summary page. So either way, look at the Arty age. When I've taken measurements within 15 minutes of each other, it's gone from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, and then sometimes back to 30 to 40. So the gaps in time are all over the place within a few minutes. Now I know if they're telling you the settings, then they should be ultra clear. You need to have sat for 15 minutes, be taking deep breaths, and then do your test, and that's how you're going to get accuracy. They do say you should take it. I mean, I can't get it to activate on the app because it doesn't work on the app itself. So you can only do these spot checks, and your history only lives here, and it's only after you do a check that you get to see some of the history aspects in these little subset features. So you could see your HSX. This week's scores, view all readings. So 20, 30, 45. I don't know what that means. I can't remember what the, that rating means, but you could look at the Arty age. Let's see if it gives me view all readings. So again, within a few minutes, within a few seconds, it's gone 20 to 30, 40 to 50, and then back to 20 to 30. And then this isn't all my readings because I've taken more than this because I know I got 2 or 3 30 to 40s. So Arty, it's a great concept. It looks like it is testing some interesting variables of cardiovascular strength of your arteries, your arterial strength. Really cool idea. But for right now, it's like it doesn't work. So stress doesn't work, and we're going to look at the sleep quality and whether it looks like it's worthwhile. And the exercise and the fitness, we'll look at the heart rate accuracy. But when you take the basics of stress tracking and this new Arty functionality, if the Arty functionality is not providing what is worthwhile information, then it's like it doesn't exist, and we're just back to the most simple of smartwatches that you can get somewhat, can't get respiration rate fine, you can't get skin temperature, but that, again, that doesn't really, it's not typically information that we use on a day-to-day basis. But you don't get this information in a trackable format that gives you direction for your health. So again, we're just back to a heart rate graph and a weather widget as the primary benefits, or the time. It does have pretty pictures when you go to download watch faces, but the app doesn't work. At least it is continuing to shut down, and so I can't get new watch faces to begin with. Now, with that, let's look at the glorious app. All right, so fun fact here is at least one clear picture of the app instability. It'll typically open. It'll look like this. I'll want to get some information. I did work out today. I did sleep last night. I did have a heart rate today, and I should have had SpO2, and then that happens. And it's basically shut down and restarted itself. Okay, clearly the bug is with the watch, because by turning off Bluetooth, I get some app stability for some crazy reason. because here you can at least see what the functional data looks like. So you have your activity, which just goes through the basics of your activity for the day. And then Arty, again, is not functioning. Exercise and sleep, for whatever reason, those did not pull through because it keeps resetting. But your basic exercise tabs look like this. And it looks like, finally, this is just what an activity looks like. It's about as plain vanilla of information, and we're going to look at the heart rate accuracy in a second. But one thing that's crazy is that, like, okay, so yeah, I did the open Friday night lights, that's not accurate heart rate, but I did the open the week before and it's got no data. I worked out on Saturday, Sunday the week before. It doesn't get till Monday 1 week ago, and yesterday I could see Sunday's results and it is not stored. That is a major issue. All your history doesn't exist beyond 7 days of history. So that's a significant negative. And now you can see the sleep. Obviously I did sleep last night, but here you can see just the basics of the efficiency, or what it's saying about sleep values is you can see that, you know, it's got all the stages. It's got heart rate, it's got your blood oxygen. That's great. It does show you across the time period, and I feel like that's probably pretty spot on. And but it just shows you deep or light. It doesn't show any REM. No matter what the night, it's not capturing REM sleep. So it still shows that it is supposed to have some REM sleep captured in there, but it does not exist. So let's also go back further in time when I was wearing the watch. And what do you know? You don't get any data looking back further than 1 week. So Monday should even be there. Tuesday is there, and for whatever reason, all this past data when I was using the watch is not there, which is really problematic. Another major problematic thing. So when you go into the pulse ox, yeah, it can give you pulse ox throughout the day. It mostly just tracks it when you're sitting still, which is when you're sleeping. So you get, you know, basics of information. Again, it shows seriously problematic stuff here because it is just not updating. So you're missing big chunks of the day, which is, I don't know, pretty standard. So it's relatively worthwhile there. But stress, if you take a stress test on the watch itself, it does not flow to any information in the app. So, you know, for the days when I've just taken a random stress test, it does not appear. It doesn't flow through to this. This is just purely for the watch functions, which I may delete the watch's existence, the TicWatch Pro Ultra that I have linked to this account, just because I don't know if this is causing major problems because it's looking for the watch and the watch isn't found, and so it's just shutting down. But no matter when I took a spot check, it is not in existence on the app. So none of that stuff flows through. So all of these pieces of data obviously relate to the watch, but the only ones that relate of any kind to this device is the heart rate data and the SpO2 data. And we can see the simplicity of the exercise data and the simplicity of the activity data as well. And then we'll just turn Bluetooth on and we'll give it a second. We'll let it sort of see the watch, and 10 more seconds later, we'll see if it has any kind of stability and what begins to happen. And there it goes. One thing I forgot to mention is what happens when you try to, this was on my first initial review video, when you try to make Arty do something and you say, let's get started, and you agree to whatever the rules are, it continues to come back failed to authorize. All right, so I regained some stability, and I'll show you how I did it, just because I feel like you should know if you have this device and you came to this review for that. So I was able to gain stabilization by unbinding the watch. And the first way you do that is you go to your Bluetooth settings and you forget the Bluetooth connection. And then you go to the settings here and click unbind. So disconnected. Okay, so now it's disconnected, and now I can go into add the device, and I go back down to the GTH Pro, and you say turn it on, and then it's looking for the QR code, but since the watch is already set up, you just click
that, and it begins to reconnect. Doesn't take a whole long period of time. And then once it reconnects, the app regains stability. So there's some sort of glitch in there. So now it's reconnected. You still can't get into Arty Health. I've already tried that a bunch of times. Oh, there it is, failed to authorize. But at least you have app stability, so you can go, look at the watch face center. Now it's connected, and those will come up in time. So that is that for if you wanted to fix it and you just bought this watch and you're frustrated and you pull out your
battery life. You can see, first looking at battery life, you can see obviously the drain time, the number of hours, percent per hour, and the time estimate per day. So this is with the always on and set to medium brightness. So I am getting about 6 days, just under 6. So originally when I first tested it, I'd like drained within a day and a half or less. So this is at least solid. So now let's look at the heart rate accuracy when doing CrossFit workouts. And some of these had different ranges of intensity, and I couldn't extract the data, so we're just going to see picture over picture. So you have on the forefront in the big bold line, you have the data from the GTH Pro, and then in the backdrop you have the chest strap connected to a Polar H10 off a Garmin device. Here you can see just, it's missing peaks. It did, it missed the decline at different points in heart rate in the back half of the workout, although this one was one of the most accurate for those that showed minor or a lot of mixed accuracy. So here's one that was just a total fail. I apologize for the mixture of different programs, but this is a Polar backdrop, and so you can redo it here with the Garmin backdrop where it's picking up some of the spikes in the lifting portion and completely missed the actual exercise, which is where the most of the intensity would have been tracked. And here you have it, falling severely short from the exercise being tracked across the board. It is picking up some of the peaks and some of the mountaintops, but otherwise it's missing. And then here, another intense workout where cardiovascularly or like heart rate wise, I was up there for a long period of time. I think this was 22.3, and it picked up kind of none of it. It got to 152, but it was go time in 22.3, and I was starting out. I think my starting heart rate started at 168 and stayed in the mid 170s for the whole entire time, and it did not capture any of that. So again, not worthwhile. So that's the end of the heart rate. We can see just in general terms, not worthwhile, not accurate. It did pick up some of the lifting portion in a decent way, but just not trustworthy across the board if you want to be able to know what you're getting.
Wow. So that was quite a lot to talk about in this review for this $99 device that speaks to health benefits and features alongside tracking exercise and fitness type of things. But the thing I'm having a hard time with is, in simple terms, across the board, it fails in every regard. Like if I was thinking of like writing a pros and cons list, and I almost wanted to say the pro is that it functions when you do a wrist raise, it didn't function then, and you want to see what time it is. It functions pretty well as a watch, but there's supposed to be a lot more to it. So let's talk about the ins and outs. So when it comes to sleep tracking, obviously it's not picking up any REM sleep, and it's dropping history after 7 days. That's bonkers. That is bad from history on your thing. And again, I'm having so many glitches with the app. Maybe it has to do with that, maybe, but I can't speak to that. And also I can't get it to fix, and there's not an update. And I haven't gotten a response back from Mobvoi. So at this point, this is still what I believe you will get, at least as a US phone holder with an iPhone. So sleep tracking is lacking REM sleep. It's given me like 5 hours of deep sleep a night. That is totally inaccurate, and it is not showing history for more than 7 days. Exercise tracking, fine. If it was like uber simple, you just get your heart rate average and a heart rate picture and a calorie burn, as simple as it possibly could be in this day and age. But it's not tracking history. And then we see the results. It's not tracking the heart rate accurately. Now, those are CrossFit workouts, which are some of the most intense, where you have major fluctuations in heart rate. So fine, it can't do that. Let's say it can't keep up with a CrossFit workout. If you're going jogging or biking, you could, this would be good.
except for the fact that it doesn't track any of your history beyond 7 days that you can look back on. And so what is it doing? You look at stress tracking at first, because I have a TicWatch Pro Ultra, because I have that watch, I can see some of these other fields are sort of in there, like not the SPO2, but the stress tracking. It does have stress tracking, it's promoted as stress tracking, but you have to sit for 3 minutes and hold very still. And if you are trying to figure out how really stressed you are, not worthwhile. And it doesn't automatically track. And then if you did take all that time, it doesn't appear anywhere else in the universe, for looking back on. Again, at least for a US user using an iPhone, in simple terms. So no all-day stress tracking, forced to wait. The app, I have to assume that is a gargantuan glitch that they're working tirelessly to fix right now, but I can't even submit a ticket because the app can't stay active long enough. If I turn off Bluetooth, then maybe, and so there's some sort of disconnect or functional. I can't change the watch faces because the app will shut down if I turn Bluetooth on to try to connect to the watch. Nothing is working with regard to the app in those functional things. Plus, there's this aspect of the data deleting after 7 days. So you can only see 7 days of data. And then you have Arty, the big introduction of this ability to have insight into your arterial health. That is super cool because it ties into so many things health-wise. To be able to see what your literal artery strength is and detect signs there, but you can't get it to activate on the app. You can do a spot check on the watch. I'm getting a wide variation of answers where it's saying I'm 20 to 30 years old in my arterial health, and then I'm 40 to 50 in my arterial health. And so the spectrum is not trustworthy, and I can't see the data in a trackable format on the app because it never comes to work. The minor things, the charger alignment is, you have to leave it just so, or else it sort of tilts up and then it's not charging that whole time. But boy, oh boy, that's a lot. So if you are looking at this, look no further and look away from the TicWatch GTH Pro, because it is not ready for production, it is not ready for use. And if you are looking for a discount tracker, a good buddy of mine, Dave at Chase the Summit, he did a review on the Fitbit Charge 5, which has been out for eons. That would do just fine. And there are major problems with the Fitbit Charge 5. You could see my review of it, but I think I'm going to actually do a review of the most inexpensive devices, because I think the Mi Band 6 and the Fitbit Charge 5 are the best ones to consider right now. And I might just go back and do sort of a top 5 for the ultra cheap. So with that, the TicWatch GTH Pro, it's the Fit Gear Hunter. Thanks so much for watching.